Hello, welcome to this video. I let the wheels spin last month and have it pick my TBR. Now, there were 7 books on my TBR. How did I do? I read 5 of it, plus I listened to an audiobook, to a non-fiction audiobook, which was not picked by my wheel. February was a very difficult month for me. My parents both passed, unfortunately, and I was dealing with so many things. It was slightly traumatic, to be honest, and I just didn't have the time nor the mental capacity to really read more than the 5 or 6 books I did read. All right, let's dive into it. I read Boneless by Coyote G.M. Edwards. It's book 2 of the Amber something duology. I'm so sorry, I forgot the duology name. This is an urban fantasy mystery-ish story. It's very short, it's novella sized. Book 2, I believe, only had like 50 to 60 pages. It's very short, which is super sad because I really enjoy the characters and the universe, and I wish the book were longer. Book 2 picks up right after book 1. Book 1 ends on a cliffy, and Boneless resolves this. It's about Grimm again, the non-binary vampire, and their friend and co-worker Argyle. I hope I am getting his name right this time, because last time I fumbled, and I think it's Argyle? It's not Argyle. I think last time I said Argyle, and I don't think it's Argyle. Their best friend and partner, work partner, disappeared. He was kidnapped, and Grimm is trying to find him again. And that's the plot. I do not want to delve deeper into this. I do love the world building in here. I love the city. It feels vibrant despite it being so short. I love the hints and pieces we get about the other inhabitants of the city and the many different creatures and the mythology, etc., which is why I wish it were longer. Maybe one day the author is going to write a full-length novel in that universe. Who knows? I would certainly read it. All in all, this was a super pleasant read. I also enjoy that Grimm is Arrow Ace coded. I think in book 2 it's actually mentioned that they are Arrow at least. But even if it's not mentioned, it's definitely hinted. And I do like that. It's a very, very rare representation in romance novels. And Arrow or Ace or Arrow and Ace representation is always something I like to read because, as I said, it's super rare. And I find it very interesting to see how it's going to play out. I would be curious to read an Arrow Ace story that's actually set in a contemporary romance plot. Boneless is not a romance story. It's more like a friendship, bromance, mystery-ish story. And that's that. Really enjoyed it. So I just finished that one, and that was a fun read. I just had genuinely fun with that. Assistant to the Villain, I think, is a pretty popular book. It's basically a romantasy. It's about the female lead named Evie, and Evie is in desperate need of a job. She is the sole caretaker for a family. Her mother, something happened with her mother. She isn't here anymore. We'll learn about it much later as to why and what happened to her. But she has a younger sister of the age of 10, I think, or around 10 to 12. And her dad is very ill. She then stumbles into the villain. Now, the villain is located in a forest, and the forest is right next to Evie's village, but no one ever crosses through there because the villain lives there. And she, by whatever reason, I think she lost her last job or didn't get a job, and she's just taking a detour and then bumps into him and saves his life, or tries to, because he's hurt, and she spots him lying there and bleeding, and he's hiding from some guards or something. Basically, they just run together. And that's how she gets the job. The villain's arch nemesis, his main enemy, is the king of this lands they live in. It's King Benedict. I will say the world building is not like usually in fantasy books where it's like really, really, really well defined, and you always have this vivid image of where you are and how the lands work and how the politics work, etc. It's really, really in the background. Until the end, I wasn't so sure where the forest exactly is located and the distances between everything. The main enemy is the king, and the king and the villain have some sort of vendetta going on. From the outside, it looks like the villain is constantly lashing out and attacking innocent people, the king, and just the lands, etc. We know it's not that simple. We learned pretty early that something between the villain and the king happened years ago, and we also learned that the villain wasn't always the villain, and that something triggered him. Also in this world, some people have magic powers. The villain has magic, very dark magic. His gift is basically that he has this darkness around him, and he can reach out with the darkness, engulf another person with it, spot their weak points, like he sees on their body where to hit, and also where the kill points are located. So he can use his power to like kill in one move. Evie starts working for him. They meet in the prologue, and then we have a time jump a couple of months further, which I loved. I love that we jump over the whole getting to know the situation thing, and we jump right into her being his assistant. She kind of struck something in him. She's witty, she's very, very sunny, but she's not really naive. And she has that hint of there is something dark in her. And she does a great job. Like, she immediately knows how to handle him because he's moody and he's often angry. Not in the abusive male lead type of way, he's just the villain. It's also funny that she constantly refers to him as the villain, and everyone else does too, and we learn his real name much later. She surprises herself constantly that she doesn't mind that he tortures people and that he comes home with some, guards from the king and then tosses them into a cell, tortures them or kills them, etc. And she doesn't care a lot about that, which is also kind of surprising to her. And I love that because she is not a goody two-shoes. She is kind, she has morals, but she also starts to learn about herself, that she has this evil side to her. I love that. I think in book 2 we will lean more into that part because it's called The Apprentice of the Villain. The book also deals with the question, who and what is a monster? How do you become a monster, and what does make you a monster? And is one action enough to make you a monster? And what about the good people? Are they really good? What is good and evil? Now, the villain himself, if I had to describe him, I would say we are talking Loki here. Also from the looks, I think he looks similar-ish to Loki in the movies. It's also the type of villain he is. The main part of the book is about Evie working as the villain's assistant, him struggling with his trust. They have a short fallout with each other, but it's resolved pretty soon. They both have this pull towards each other, this trust towards each other. Evie is someone who struggles with her confidence because for a long time everyone told her she isn't good enough and she's not right the way she is. And she smiles it all away, but she still is very capable. I think that's what I like about the character, because she has weaknesses. She is smiling her pain away. She has struggles with her confidence, but she's very capable. And she's also head over heels for the villain. And the funny thing is, she doesn't really hide it. Like, yes, when she's with him, she kind of tries to hide it, but it's very obvious. And it's also obvious to others. And she has friends there at the castle of the villain. And they kind of make fun about this. And they just know. Someone tries to sabotage the villain. Like, disrupt his work, and his work basically is annoying King Benedict and stealing from him and interfering with him. But someone disrupts that, and they understand that there is a spy within the whole employees. The villain has like 100 employees, and somewhere within them there has to be a spy working for the king, actually. The book ends with a major cliffhanger, which pissed me off so much. Oh my god, I hate cliffhangers, which is why I don't do them. It also has a very, very nice twist at the end and, the last chapters, which was like, oh, wow. The romantasy aspect, there's zero spice in this book, like zero. Actually, they have nothing going on with each other, just mutual pining. It's a lot of pining because the villain is really into her as well. She accepts his darkness and his power. She's not scared of him. She is just very supportive and understands him on a different level. She likes that he gave her a place for herself to grow, and that he, through her work with him and through him, she grows in confidence and he has trust in her abilities, and that really, really helps her as well. They have great chemistry. I love their chemistry, but just as a heads up, nothing happens between them. The book in itself, I would say, is cozy adjacent, minus the ending. The cliffhanger is very mean. And in general, the last few chapters maybe. For me, this is something I truly like. I like low angst, but I do like there's still being some stakes or something. I finished a non-fiction book. It's called Stop Caretaking, the Borderline or Narcissist. And I usually do not say that. Really, I think I've never said that about a self-help book, even if I like them. But this one was life-changing for me. Like, I'm not sure if I can put it into words. The focus of this book is on the caretakers. What separates this book from many of the others is that it's not just the caretakers in a romantic relationship, like people who are married to someone with a narcissistic personality disorder or with a borderline personality disorder. It's also about children of these people with this specific mental illness. I was such a child, so the way this book spoke to me, it was mind-boggling, eye-opening. It was like shocking. I saw myself in so many parts. Basically, this book does describe the narcissistic personality disorder. It also does describe borderline disorder, or I'm sorry if I'm fumbling the vocabulary. This is not my first language, so I'm kinda fumbling here. Please forgive me. It describes these mental illnesses in detail, and definitely coming from someone who understands what being a narcissist or borderline personality means, and also what it means to be with someone like that. Then it proceeds to describe the dysfunctional relationships. And while borderline and narcissists are not the same, it's not the same mental illness / personality disorder, but the dysfunctionality in the relationships is very similar and it's comparable. It also describes why it's so dysfunctional and where the dysfunctionality comes from, and really, really goes into detail there. Details that make me understand the whole dysfunctionality more. Even though I lived through it, it doesn't mean I understood it or was able to grasp why it is like that. But all the behavior patterns I learned as a child, like being conflict avoidant, masking a lot, being a people pleaser, etc., which accompanied me into my adulthood. It's explained in that book, and it makes so much sense. I was finally able to understand myself a little bit more, and also understand where all that is coming from. And in understanding that, it will help me deal with it. The book also describes the relationship patterns, which are apparently always the same. All the main relationships, like caretaker and narcissist / borderline, always move in that triangle. There's the persecutor, there's the rescuer, and there's the victim. In such a relationship with the narcissist and the caretaker always move in these roles. They do have a main role, but they also branch out into the other roles. It was very interesting. And obviously the book also offers some advice, some new patterns to learn. It gives examples. It is not overly bloated and long, which means it really focuses on the main parts. For me, it was so helpful. I actually listened to this as an audiobook because the printed version is quite expensive, but I liked this so much and it was so important to me that I actually bought the print version as well, just so I have it in my collection and can grab it here and there and just, skim to a certain point and reread something. For me, who has been on this healing journey, mental health healing journey for years, this book is a little milestone. I would recommend it to everyone who is in a caretaker role with a narcissist or borderline. I recommended this book to a friend who was married to a narcissist. She called me afterwards and said she listened to the whole book on a pretty long drive. She has never read or listened to anything which was that good, and she has been on that healing journey for years as well. She told me she's baffled. Probably my nonfiction read of the year. I don't think anything can top that one due to it being so helpful to me. I finished Tied to the Waves. Tied to the Waves is categorized as a monster romance. In its core, that's true. It's a monster romance. It comes with quite some monsterish smut. It has a monster, a sea monster. The sea monster is described as a merman, but it's not like the romantic and cute and beautiful version of a merman we tend to think of, like Little Mermaid. It's more like sea creature, and I found it really cool. It's also very, very vividly described how the sea monster, the monster looks like. But it is also a hurt and comfort book. It focuses on healing, on found family, on growing, and on acceptance and trauma healing. The main character is Ness. Ness is a non-binary person. They return to their home, Brimray Island, when their parents die. And they had a very estranged relationship to them. Basically hate everything on that island due to being traumatized in their past. And Ness is there's a lot of self-hatred there. There is a lot of distrust. They don't think anyone will ever love them or stick with them or, stay. On Brimray Island, they reconnect with two old friends who they used to be very close with previously, but lost contact with. There was a little bit of disappointment there too from their side, but they reconnect, and it's also, found family partly. Ness then, by coincidence, meets Echo, the sea monster. The sea monster is hurt and basically washes up on their shore. Ness somehow drags the sea monster inside into the bathtub and nurses him back. Echo is the sweetest. He is so adorable. Like, he's this sea monster with claws and sharp teeth. But he's so sweet. He's so loving and respectful, and he doesn't want to do anything wrong. He never wants to hurt Ness. He wants to do everything Ness likes. He wants to understand everything about Ness and humans and, the small little things and gestures Echo does not understand. He is a green flag. I enjoy green flags, so this was truly for me. There is a lot of smut in it too in this book. I will say the smut was very creative. It had a lot of fish/sea monster type of smut. Like there was fin. Is it fin? The tip of the fucking where he rolled. Yeah. Then there was his gills, like where he breathes through. There was some finger fucking this. There were claws, etc. The smut wasn't for me, but I appreciate its creativity, and I also like how much the book leaned into this being monster romance and monster smut. I also liked Ness's weirdness, because Ness is into the ocean, and it's not like Ness is feeling drawn to the ocean. It's more like an attraction or even some sort of sexual tension towards the ocean. I like that Ness leaned into this weirdness, and the book didn't judge it. Actually, by meeting Echo and falling in love with Echo, Ness kinda came to terms with this weirdness as well. Also was able to forgive the ocean for certain traumas it was involved in. Overall, this was a surprisingly enjoyable read to me. I did not expect it. I'm not sure what I expected, but I did not expect to like it that much and to be invested so much. The next book I read was Can't Touch by Kara Croft. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Can't Touch is an MM contemporary romance with a bit of kink/BDSM to it. The kinks in this story are praise kink and slightly S dynamics. Now, it's not a really long book. For whatever reason, though, I believed it would be a novella or a short story. I was so convinced it would be a 50-page long book. It wasn't. It was normal length, or maybe a little bit on the shorter side, but it was not 50 pages. It was a normal book. So what was it about? It's about these two guys, Tyson and Sean. They live together at university. They share a room with they're roommates basically. They don't share a room. They share a dormitory apartment, whatever. They have a room each and share the living area. Sean is a nerd. He is very academically gifted, at least he's very good at studying, whereas Tyson is on a sports stipendium. I'm not sure anymore. I think he's playing baseball, but I'm not sure. It's also not really important. He's the typical frat boy/jock, but he's openly gay. He's out of the closet, and his main characteristic, as he himself describes him, is being a man-whore. He has basically fucked every guy that's willing. Apparently he has a magical DICK because he claims he's really, really just amazing at sex. I would say it's a trope not everyone likes, I admit that, because he is really, really sexually active and he's not ashamed of it. He does not necessarily see his sexual partners as human beings, as persons. Like, he's not doing any harm to them, but he doesn't really see them as a person. Now, with Jean, it's different. Jean is a cutie. Tyson really likes Jean. It's like a bit like a forbidden fruit because Jean is very diligent at cooking, cleaning, and he just wants to see Tyson happy. Pleasing Tyson is like his biggest thing. Obviously, the two of them hit it off. They have been living together for a couple of months, and now they cannot hold back anymore and are all over each other. Sean is a virgin. Again, this is a trope not everyone likes. Not everyone likes this super sexually active man-whore. Like, he himself, it's not me making this up, he himself describes him like that, with the nerdy virgin. Sean has zero experiences and he has a very traumatic past. He comes from an abusive home, and his first sexual experience he had, like when he was masturbating, was ruined by his mother, who saw him and who punished him severely. So from that moment on, it's like something really dirty for him. I think he was like 13 years at that time, and since then couldn't even touch his penis. Now, this is not really a hurt and comfort story. It could go into the direction, I guess, with a dom or a dominant partner trying to coax their sub-partner out of their shell and trying to make them heal. I can see this as an actual BDSM romance and see how it works really well, because no serious dom would like accept the situation as it is, like the praise kink Sean has and the wanting to please Tyson and do everything for him and never say no, etc., comes from a place of trauma. Usually, or in a lot of BDSM books, where there is a serious DS dynamic and a healthy one, the Dom would not easily accept that and would try to help the sub heal while still living out his fantasies. This is not this type of book. It's also not overly kinky. It's just a hint of it. Honestly, it's an erotica. It's smut with a little bit of plot. Warning ahead, this is very spicy. It's basically a long smut scene with some bits of dialogue in between. So there's no healing journey, no real one. And it's not trying to be. The last book of the month that I just finished is Shroud by Adrian Tchaikovsky. And I cannot put into words what kind of chokehold this book had on me. This is a hard sci-fi book, and as that, it was the first for me. I've never read a hard sci-fi book, but I'm very intrigued now. I will say it was really, really difficult for me to get into because there was a bit of a language barrier for me. And usually I'm very good at overcoming those. But in this case, like I said, it's hard sci-fi and there's a lot of scientific talk, a lot of physics, chemistry, etc. And this is not something I'm really, really well versed at. So my issue was I started reading this and then had my dictionary open and started looking up words. And then I got the translation and it was like, okay, I need to dive into this further because even the German translation doesn't do much for me. I'm usually someone who really likes to understand what they read and wants to really, really grasp it. I cannot skim over a book and ignore words I don't know the meaning of. Like, if it's very, very obvious through the context, then it's something else. But really stumbling over technical terms, over words that are really foreign to me, etc., and not looking them up does not work for me. So this took me some time to get into, I will have to admit that. I'm just glad that I read some reviews and I spotted in the reviews that some people said that the first part of the book, like the first 20% or 10%, read a bit like a technical report. So I'm very glad that it's not just me. And I'm glad I approached it that way because it made it much easier for me to understand how this planet is supposed to look like. So what is this about? It's basically about a team or two female scientists, May and Juna, or Mai and Juna, who work on like this space, and they're researching on this new planet they found. And I'm going to call it planet, although technically it's part of a whole system. They researched that new planet from above at first, and this planet is completely unapproachable. It's like there's a whole nebula, dust, wind, etc. all around it. There's extreme noise down there. They send drones down and the drones don't return. Everything down there seems to be in any way toxic. However, on the base they're at, there's an accident and these two female characters happen to escape into one of the pods that they were building for a manned mission to this planet and hoping to never use because it was a suicide mission to begin with. They basically land or drop down onto this planet, and they call the planet Shroud due to its, due to its circle and wave of everything around it, due to a mess, for the human mind, a whole chaos. Also, what they could see was that at that point, where they researched, that there was a lot of like throne-like plant structures. So that's where they land, or rather crash. They start their journey through Shroud and try to reach the one glimmer of hope they have, and that is some sort of pole where they build a line to their base. The whole backstory is that humanity has evolved. Basically, Earth does not have enough resources, etc., and there are hubs and bases all around the galaxy with people living there. They also enhanced the people born there. It's basically a concern-led world now, and it's a dystopia. It's like crazy. People do not count anymore. You will basically be woken up to work and work and work and work, and when you are not usable anymore, you will be put back to sleep and eventually woken up again. It's all like your health, your mental health, your wishes, nothing counts. It's all led by these huge bosses and chiefs of the concerns. When they find new planets or new worlds, they usually suck them dry of resources, and that's what they planned to do with Shroud. So our characters try to reach this area where the resource recovering, let's call it like that, has begun. What they knew and what they saw beforehand through the few drones they could recover was that down there is alien life. Something is down there, and it seems to be like a metallic beings that move around. Everything on this planet is toxic and out to like kill them. If hell exists and if hell is a place, this here would be a close call. The book, especially this middle part, this huge middle part of them landing there, crashing, and then journeying and traveling through the country, is a slow burn. There's a lot of description and a lot of explanation. I get that it's not for everyone. I fully admit that it's really, really a lot of information and it's not really action driven. However, for me, it really helped me to understand this world, this foreign world. Everything down there is crazily different from the plans, from the structure, and they're basically traveling over this surface of thorn-like plants without knowing what's beneath. They think there is some sort of ocean down there, but it's all dark and it's a void. All of Shroud is pitch black and dark, which makes it so eerie. It's almost a bit like a horror setting. So I found it very immersive. It does at times read a bit like a documentary, but that was fine for me. There is a huge noise, various noises all over this planet. Our characters try to decipher it and to understand it, but they really are not successful with that. And of course, very early on, they already bump into the first alien life. Now, they call the alien life down there Shrouded. And the Shrouded are these huge mechanical monsters, like huge, not human size, huge, small alien life down there. Creatures are human size. And these Shrouded are metallic. They have these whole structures of skeleton, but nothing like we would feel familiar with. And this is what's so great here. This alien down there, and this is intelligent life. We're not talking about some animal-like alien, although our characters first believe that. This is intelligent life, and it's, in the truest word, alien. Like, you see it, you hear it, you can imagine it through this really well written description. You can read how they operate and how they move and what they do, but it's all so far away from what we understand as an intelligent life that it's like crazy. This is what makes this so intriguing, I think, because this is intelligent life, but it's not like the green alien humanoid blobs we usually read of, or a humanoid alien. It's not. They're not humanoid. I would say maybe they're more dinosaur-like, maybe, but with all kinds of shapes. These aliens are not vicious or malicious by nature. They just do not understand these two humans in this pod. And this is, again, what makes this so fascinating. We get the alien POV, and this is so amazing. Like, we get, obviously, the major part is the POV from our main character, which is Juna, and from their journey. But we also get the alien POV here and there. We learn how the aliens think, how they see this pod, and that as foreign as the Shrouded are for these two humans, are the humans for the Shrouded. They don't have a concept of human or humanity or blood and flesh. Their whole communication and their whole understanding, how they get information, is through echo and through sound. And I think it's electromagnetic sound, like not just simple talking. It's more like radio frequencies, etc. They do not know that what this is in there. And they do not understand flesh and blood because they do not have that. So it's basically a first contact story for both sides. and both sides do not understand each other but are curious. Like the Shrouded intuitively notice that there is something different with this pod that walks away without knowing what's inside. Their learning ability and understanding is much faster in general due to their nature than that of human. They're extremely fast learner, and due to the nature of how they operate and how they are, they easily can rebuild stuff and learn. But also the humans in the pod soon start to realize that there's more to the Shrouded than like they thought them being creatures, and they eventually realize they're intelligent life. This theme of trying to connect and to communicate is like a red thread throughout the whole book. I will say the last 20% of the book really upped the pacing, and there was a lot of stuff happening and like crazy. It was amazing. Love this book. It's not easily accessible, I have to say as much. It's not like something, in my opinion, to just read. I don't think it's a book we should just skim through and skip over parts, because part of the plot is really also understanding and learning of Shroud and the Shrouded with our two humans that travel the land. It's part of the charm and the intrigue of the book, in my opinion. I will say that I really enjoyed this read. Shroud is definitely my read of the month. It was amazing, an experience. I do want to read more of Adrian Tchaikovsky now. I think Children of Time is probably one of his most popular works, and I do own that book already. All right, that's it. I did not read a huge lot this month, I have to admit that. From my TBR that I picked in January, I read Boneless, Assistant to the Villain, Shroud, Tied to the Waves, and Can't Touch. I did not make it to Till Summer Doers Part, although I really wanted to read that, because February was a crazy month for me, and I just didn't have the time, unfortunately. I also skipped the Book of Bill. Now, I didn't really skip it. I am actually still reading it, but the Book of Bill, in my opinion, is an experience and not something you can just read. It's more like, one of these puzzle books. It's not a puzzle book, but the experience is very similar, I think. It's a book you have to experience and to allow yourself to indulge in. So I did not see this as part of my TBR after starting it. All right, this is it from my side. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please tell me what you read this month. I'm super curious to know and hear what you read. Bye!